Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants. I'm Madelyn Burke alongside Giants Super Bowl champion Shaun O'Hara. And Shaun, the Giants fall to the Washington football team 22-7, puts a cap on the regular season. The Giants finished 4-13 in the first 17-game season. This is a tough one, though. 6 straight loss by 10 or more points, longest streak in franchise history. How do you sum this one up?
Well, some people call that a football game. It's been frustrating to watch, I think, for everybody involved. And I think when you look at this Giants team, it felt like a shell of itself today in this game. And both sides of the ball, look, we're going to say the effort was there, but this team just clearly was defeated. And it felt like the white flag was waved today. And you know what? I think that everybody is probably relieved that it's over with right now. This game right here was really about blocking and tackling. Defensively, could not tackle the football. They struggled. There was a lot of sloppiness, a lot of missed tackles. And then up front, again, the blocking was an issue. Jake Fromm tried to do what he could. The turnovers killed him. And the fact that he was the leading rusher today just showed you that this offense is still stuck in neutral. Obviously not the performance that they had the week before against the Bears. So there was a little bit of the positive production. There was a touchdown, which was great to see.
Yes.
Darius Slayton in the end zone. I think Giants fans, there were a lot of in-jest cheers today, and rightfully so. But it's tough. It's tough to lose 6 games in a row. And I think, we were talking about it before we came on.
Yeah.
Last year, totally different vibe, totally different feeling. When you could finish the season strong, it gives you some momentum, gives you some positivity and something to build on going forward.
Right. Well, and you mentioned Jake Fromm, too. Led the team in rushing, 53 yards on the ground with a 27-yard long. We saw him using those wheels. 103 yards passing, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. A big improvement from his first NFL start. His first NFL touchdown to Darius Slayton, a 22-yard pass that puts the Giants on the board. First touchdown to a wide receiver since October 24th. It's been a while. So like you said, the Giants fans were excited to see that offensive production. But, the defense has been putting this team in a position. The offense has struggled from a myriad of reasons, injuries and whatnot. But, you want to see these little bright spots. But how can you build on something like that, especially in a bigger picture?
Yeah, I think, today was an opportunity for some players to try to earn an opportunity to be on this team for next year. Look, there are no missed opportunities in this world. Somebody will jump at the ones that you don't take. And John Madden, who we all love and lost recently, had a quote, "There's no such thing as a meaningless game." So
right.
For a lot of players on this roster who are playing for a future contract, playing for a future job, there was some significance and some meaning to that. And, you'll go back and look at on tape and see that there were some efforts there. But offensively, with Jake Fromm in there, you knew that they were handcuffed, and you knew this offense was limited. And if you didn't believe that they were limited, the fact that they ran a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9 right here in the second quarter lets you know that there was not a whole lot of options in the game plan. Things were at a bare minimum. And defensively, look, the whole challenge for them has just been get off the field on 3rd down. Somebody make a play. Somebody do something. Do something out of the, something extraordinary, something out of an ordinary tackle or pass deflection. Do something to spark and create some energy. The energy and the emotional aspect of this game has been missing for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we see it in warm-ups. We see it out on the field as these guys are getting ready to go, but it kind of fades as the gap widens and as other teams kind of put some points on the board. We've got another perspective. We're going to send it down to the field for Paul Dottino and Brandon London standing by with more.
Madeline, this has really been the story of most of the Giants' season. The defense did everything they could for a while until the dam finally broke, this time in the fourth quarter when they gave up 10 points as Washington pulled away. But the first half, it was only a 6-0 Washington lead. The Washington team was 0 of 6 on 3rd down. The Giants had 3 sacks. And quite honestly, Brandon, the defense was fighting as tough as ever.
Absolutely. You've seen it throughout the course of the year. The defense do what they have to do in the first half to keep the Giants in a game. Unfortunately, when we talk about we talk about bringing it together, collective football, we haven't seen enough for the offense. You've seen a lot of great individual things, but collectively, when you have a bend but don't break defense, you have to score points on offense.
Now, one of the guys who's trying to make a case for himself to maybe be back here next year is linebacker Lorenzo Carter. With his sack today, he joins a list of only 4 Giants linebackers since the stat became official in 1981 to have at least 1 sack in 4 straight games. The others are Carl Banks, Lawrence Taylor, and Marcus Golden.
When you think about being a player in this league, you're always trying to apply pressure to someone's front office. So whether he's making a play to stay here or to make himself a little bit more attractive to another defense throughout the NFL, he's done what he was supposed to do on the back half of this season.
All right, we saw this Giants team continue to fight. Offensive drive here in the second half. Yeah. They go 14 plays, 69 yards, and Slayton catches the touchdown pass. The Giants converted 2 third downs and 2 fourth downs. The fourth downs were passes to Barkley and Galladay. On the drive, Jake Fromm was 5 of 8 for 40 yards.
Yeah, when we talk about that drive, what we've been talking about all year, Paul, finish. You got guys like David Sills and Alec Bachman, who's been on the practice squad on the field at that time. So for Darius Slayton to come up with that touchdown and for the Giants to put 6 on the board at that time, that just goes to show you they weren't going to lay down this game. They were still going to go out there and try and finish.
And that's the kind of drive where guys are going to look at the tape when they go into the facility tomorrow and try to show the coach, hey, you see what? I was still trying to fight. I was still trying to score some points. I'd want to be here.
Yeah, not just the coach, the GM, the president, and Giants Twitter.
All right, finally, let's talk about special teams. Kick coverage was terrific today. DeAndre Carter, one of the most dangerous kick returners in the league. They held him to 33 yards on 2 kickoff returns and 23 yards on 4 punt returns. The Giants' special teams have been inconsistent this year, but Riley Dixon came up big today, and the coverage units, guys like Crossan and Love, really did a good job.
Yeah, Keon Crossan and Julian Love showed up. These are guys that, yes, they may be career special teamers on this team, but they show you that they want to be a part of the core and they want to be a part of this team going forward next year.
Well, Brandon, one thing for sure, the Giants have a lot of young players, and they hope to be part of the future.
Yes.
Let's go back to you guys upstairs.
Thanks, fellas. Always appreciate those deep dive stats from Paul Dottino, the Palmanac over there. Doesn't miss a beat. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the show. After the break, we're going to hear from head coach Joe Judge. But first, guests of our post-game show received a gift certificate to Ben & Jack's located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to the finer seafood, Ben & Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. Stay with us. We got much more to come here. After the break, we'll hear from head coach Joe Judge. We'll be right back with more Giants Postgame Live after this.
Peerless design, cutting-edge tech, and a world-class interior. The exhilarating Mercedes-Benz GLC. Extraordinary runs in the family.
This one's for every NFL fan whose fan cave is more like a fan corner of a guest room closet. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
According to New York state law, it's forbidden to make small talk on an elevator. But here's something that is legal: sports betting. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook has officially arrived in the Empire State. And we're giving every New Yorker an exclusive offer when they sign up. So skip the chit-chat and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Claim your exclusive offer when you sign up and make it rain.
You probably think Visa is a credit card company, huh? But it's actually a network, connecting just about everyone to just about everyone else. It can open eyes with a cup of coffee and change minds about what makes a business a business. And it is working to connect everyone, everywhere. So, meet Visa, a network working for everyone.
I'll tell you, I loved every minute of my time playing for the New York Giants. It was a huge part of my life. These days, I still carry my team spirit with me every time I use my Giants debit card from Investors Bank.
Open a New York Giants checking account from Investors Bank with free cell phone and ID theft protection. Plus, you can earn up to $250.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. And now I'm a fan too.
Open a Giants checking account online today.
This one's for every sports fan who just spent the entire game explaining to someone the entire game. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
A logo can do more than identify your company. It can connect in meaningful ways, energize your team, and inspire your customers. We're 4imprint, and we know your logo on the right product can create moments that matter. With 30 years of experience and thousands of products to choose from, we guarantee your order will be right the first time, on time, and for a great price. Be certain that the right moments will matter. Explore thousands of promotional products at 4imprint.com. 4imprint, for certain.
Mika Zibanejad! Score! Zibanejad does it again! Oh, throw out the hats! What a game Mika Zibanejad has had. He's doing everything, Sam.
Lock him in. This is where you make your money.
He catches the ball, he gets hit, and he's laughing. Well, he's going to laugh me to the bank this week.
Who do you like in the game?
They've been rock solid all year on defense. No reason to back down from these guys now.
There's a lot of games left, and they're expecting big things from them this week. Patriots on the money line.
This is it. It's your last week to win some Giants merch. It's the Postgame Live Watch and Win sweepstakes, and you have a chance to win a signed football by our birthday guy, linebacker Blake Martinez. To win, just scan the QR code on the screen or go directly to msgnetworks.com. Use this week's keyword tackle when you sign up. Good luck and a very happy birthday to Blake Martinez, the birthday guy of the day. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live as we're wrapping up the Giants season finale, a loss to the Washington football team 22-7. For more reaction, we send it down to head coach Joe Judge at the podium.
All right, guys. Well, look, obviously, we didn't do enough to have success today on the field. You got to give credit to that team. Obviously, they played better, made plays when they had to. All right, there are some things that we could do in the game better, give us a better chance. Look, ultimately, all right, it wasn't good enough. All right, I'm proud of the team for things they've done and fought through and stayed together as a team this year. Ultimately, it's not good enough. The fans deserve better. It doesn't meet our expectations as a program. It's not going to be acceptable, and the things we have to correct, we're going to start on immediately going forward in the future and the start of the next season. All right, that being said, I'll answer any questions you may have.
How confident are you that you're going to be able to have the opportunity to go move forward?
I'm not going to worry about these hypotheticals right now, Jordan. I appreciate it. I understand it's going to be the question of the day. All right, just understand it kind of follows on my, baseline answer of the hypotheticals. So,
Can you explain the thought process behind those two QB sneaks you guys ran?
Yeah, so we were backed up. We had a shot on the play action to get the ball out in the flat. Okay, we got to make the throw and hit the guy right there. Eli was open there. Would have been a good shot coming off the goal line there to get us some yardage and get some space. And then ultimately, look, we were backed up. I wanted to get room. We're going to push it on forward. I wasn't going to live through what happened last week in Chicago. So we're going to give ourselves room for the punt. We did that. We gave ourselves room for the punt. We protected it. We covered well. We played the field position situation I want to play. We held them on the next drive, and that's why we want to go ahead and play that. Now, do we want to do that all the time we're backed up? No, but that was a situation of the day with where we were. And I want to make sure that, the things that we had issues with last week in Chicago, that was not going to repeat itself.
Well, having faith in your players, do you feel like that shows faith, though?
Well, I think it shows faith in the fact that I knew we were going to cover the kick and then play defense right there. So in the situation of what it was, that's how I wanted to play right there, Dan. So.
Joe, you said you're going to get to work immediately on fixing this stuff. What's at the top of the list there?
There's a number of things, guys. There's a number of things. Obviously, we have to have better offensive production. Okay, so we'll go through, the evaluation process and get into that. There's a number of other things on the list as well. I'm not going to go through a full diagnosis. I don't think it takes much thinking to go ahead and list the offensive production as an obvious thing we've got to correct immediately around here.
Coach, on the first possession, 4th and 1, you ran a vertical play as opposed to going up the gut. Their linebacker came through unblocked. Was it just they made a good defensive play, or was there something that you thought you could see in the scheme that...
There was something we saw on tape in terms of how those defensive ends have played in those situations, in terms of taking it, and some success some other teams have had off similar plays with these guys. They made a better play. They got us right there. Obviously we adjusted. We don't want to have that happen again. So we start working more vertical.
Coach, that Galladay vertical, what happened there? It looked like Fromm had him. Did Galladay misjudge that or something? Or what did you see on that vertical?
From what I saw, just it was outside of his reach right there. I looked, it was outside of his reach right there, yeah.
Joe, when do you expect to sit down with John Mara and have a conversation about the state of things and the typical end-of-season conversation?
Well, it'll definitely be this week. I'll keep that between us internally in terms of when something's scheduled.
How far away or close do you think this team is to being a contender?
Well, I made a statement last week, and when I talk to you guys, I tell you the truth. So I told you last week, I know that we're closer than we are further away. Okay, so I'll leave it at that right there. I know the targets are things we have to fix. We have to get moving in the right direction. I talked last week at length, okay, which I'm sure everybody here's, listened to several times by now, all right, about, the things that are going in the right direction in this program. We have to build on those things. And the things that we have to fix immediately. That's just the nature of what it's going to be, guys.
Joe, your team lost 6 straight games to end this. Is it in some ways a relief to end the season now and kind of move forward and try to build?
The funny thing about this is, there's only one team every year, no matter what the results are, that has a happy ending to their season. That's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? And when you get to the stretch of the season, it's a long season, it's a grinding season. And you build relationships, and you go through all the grind with a lot of players that you really build and support, and really rely on each other, right? So at the end of anything like this, I don't think there's ever, for any of the other 31 teams, any feeling of relief to be done. I know for me personally, it doesn't matter what the situation is. Okay, you're playing last year, we're playing for a different situation. Teams have been part of it in the past, and you're playing to keep advancing or get to the final, whatever it may be. But this year is really no different. Mentally, you're always trying to stretch it out. When you walk in every week, you're thinking, okay, this could be my last opportunity to coach a guy on a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday. You're trying to extend those things, trying to make sure you don't waste those opportunities. Personally, that's how I feel. So I've felt in every postseason game I've ever played, last year's finale, including this year. Okay? You look at guys, there's a lot of guys that are not under contract. All right, there's a business element to this. You don't have a crystal ball, know exactly what the future holds. And you look at those guys that, you obviously have strong ties to and bonds to. And you try to soak up every second you get with those guys. You want to see them have success. You want to make sure that you do everything you can to give them an opportunity to get, their hard work rewarded. Okay, that's a big part of it right there. But, to me, as I've been taught before, hey, look, it's always a crash landing, except for one team.
Did today was there any more pressure coaching today's game? Was it a more difficult game to coach, given the stakes? Maybe your job, other jobs are on the line? Again,
I don't get into all the hypotheticals. My focus all week was on Washington. My focus was on our players. I owe it to them, I owe it to the organization, not to get distracted by outside noise. Okay, that's the reality of what it is. All right, you're in the National Football League. It's high stakes, guys. Every game's important. Every game's important. Okay, it's important to play the first game the same as the last game. We talk time about playing every play the same regardless of situation or circumstance. All right, we always take that approach. We take that attitude. I talk to you guys all the time. You guys always want to know what roller coaster we ride. But we don't do that. We stay right here as an organization, as a team. All right, we came in every week, whether it was Monday or it was a situation that came in on Wednesday. We get after the tape, and we keep it as what are the facts? What's on tape? What's the truth? What did we do well we got to build on? What are things we have to improve on? And that's really our focus going forward right now. Look back at the season. What are things that we did well? What are things we can build on? What are things we have to improve on? And obviously you start with what you have to improve on. You narrow that down. You attack it with a plan of how you're going to make that better, okay? You map out how you're going to go down the course of that action, and then you go ahead and you identify from what we're going to build on, how do we tie that into while we're adjusting things we have to make better.
Late in the week, Ron Rivera said that he was upset by some of the things you said last week.
You can talk to Ron about that right there, guys. You can talk to Ron about that, okay? I've talked to Ron myself. We talked on the field. Look, you can ask him about that.
What did you tell him when you talked to him on the field about that, Joe?
What's that?
Did you try to clarify it when you talked on the field about?
No, I'll keep anything I said to Ron between me and Ron. That's the way I am with everybody.
What have you learned after 2 years now being a head coach versus what you expected versus what this reality has turned into?
Well, a whole lot. And this is probably a better answer for a later time. I can tell you, last year, and I'm not going to go into diagnosis of everything, but last year there are a number of things that I learned of how to do on the job. Okay, there are a lot of things you learn, of how to go ahead and operate within it. Probably this year, some of the things I learned, there's a lot more of what not to do, to be honest with you. All right? And some of it was, things that I was involved in or something that I've observed. But there are a lot of things this year that, obviously the results aren't what we wanted. So while there's a number of things I learned of how to do it, there's also a number of things I've learned of that'll never happen again. Like there's a list of things that are just tattooed. You touch that hot plate, you learn it's hot, right? You ain't gonna touch that thing again. So there's a number of things right there that, I've got from this year that I absolutely understand that, sometimes more valuable lesson is you learn what you can't do again or what you can't allow to happen again, okay? So I file everything, okay? I file everything in terms of what I learn. Everything's an experience, everything's a lesson. The important thing with whatever happens, any lesson you learn, is that you move forward with it and make the right decisions going forward with the information that you've gathered and learned.
Joe, we all saw Dave taking pictures with his family. I think it's not really a secret that there's probably going to change at GM. I mean, how does that impact you if there is a change at GM?
Again, look, I'm not going to get any hypotheticals. I'll let Dave speak for Dave. Okay? I'll let Dave speak for Dave.
Joe, it was actually on this date 2 years ago where you were introduced as head coach, and you kind of laid out your vision as to where you thought you guys were going to go. Do you feel 2 years later that you have to defend the progress that you guys have made, or at least the progress that you see that you've made?
In terms of like 2 years to date or anything, or I don't really get too sentimental about anything like that, but in terms of defending, look, no. I'm not in the mode of defending anything. I'm more in the mode of just looking at, what's the truth, what's the reality, and where are we at? Where do we have to get where we want to go? What do we have to improve on immediately? And that's really the mode I'm in. Sit on down, lay out the plan. Look, I'm the harshest self-critic I could be, okay? Before I get to anybody else, any player, any other coach, I always start with myself. What could I have done better? What am I not doing well enough that I have to adjust? I always start with that. And then I have to look externally of, okay, what else has to be adjusted? What else has to be fixed? So as we go through this process, we got to make sure we make all the necessary adjustments. And obviously, look, the fans deserve better than what we gave them this year. Our team deserves better than what we accomplished this year. I have much higher expectations as a team. I'm never going to compromise or negotiate on that. All right, my expectations are what they are. But as I said a number of times, I'm very proud of a lot of things our team has done through a lot of adversity this year. There's a lot of circumstances they've handled without blinking. I'm very proud of that, okay? I'm very proud of that. Ultimately, it wasn't good enough, okay? And my focus right now is already on next season immediately and changing everything we have to, making every necessary adjustment that we come out here next year and we play the type of football and have the exact results that we want to have as an organization.
How much does that mean overhauling the offense?
I'm not going to go into any specifics right now, Jordan, in terms of, hypotheticals. I've already identified, the obvious critical first need would be to improve our offense production. Wasn't good enough.
Okay. All right.
All right.
That sound from head coach Joe Judge was brought to you by Ford as we welcome in Carl Banks, Super Bowl champion.
Hola.
Carl Banks, famous 58, come fresh down from the radio booth.
Yes.
Hi, Carl.
Hello.
As we, welcome to the show, Giants Postgame Live season finale here as we wrap up the Giants' 22-7 loss to Washington. Carl, one thing that stuck out to me about what Judge said is after a 4-13 record, he said, the fans deserve better. We've heard that narrative from him, as this team has struggled. What's your reaction?
Well, the non-sarcastic reaction is you don't say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he expects more. The fans expect more. And, with an offense that is, for 2 years running, at the bottom of the league, that is something that has to get fixed.
I don't think it stops at the fans. Look, I mean, Carl and I, we're alumni of the New York Giants. There are a lot of our brethren that are angry, just as angry as fans. They're upset. They're disappointed. I think today marked a totally different level of it. Driving in here today, the lack of people, I think, was even worse. The fact that now people just they're not even going to pay attention to it. And to not even be worth their time right now, that has got to be extremely frustrating for everybody in that building. And to Joe Judge's point, and you alluded to it, restoring Giants pride. That has been something that Joe Judge has talked about, and about he wants Giants fans to put on the hat and to put on the sweatshirt and to feel that pride. And you know what? It has not felt like that for the last 6 weeks, certainly. And I look at the offense. I think the defense has shown that they're a tough defense. When they play hard, they are a tough out. They have given a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of offenses fits this season. They have found a way to get pressure on the quarterback when they needed to. But, Carl, you know this. When your defense is constantly put out there in compromising situations, and when you know defensively that our offense cannot find the end zone with a map, it's frustrating. It kind of takes that fire out of you, and it takes that spunk out of you. And that's where I put all of this on offensively. In the last 6 games, the Giants have scored 56 points. That's an average of just over 9 points a game. Yeah. You can't win football games at any level with that little of offensive production. So it's amazing. Look, there is not one quick fix. There's not one single answer. But offensive production and points will change the outcome and the emotional impact of everybody on the team.
Absolutely. And it's got to be tough, too, especially those last 2 minutes, the first half continuing to be a struggle for this team. Outscored 79-0 in that time period. All right, we've got more to break down of this game and this season as Giants Postgame Live continues after this short break. We'll hear from Saquon Barkley and much more. This show is presented by Mercedes-Benz.
sometimes the most thrilling experiences come from Mother Nature herself. And that's what Ford SUVs were built for. Like the Escape with available intelligent all-wheel drive, the Explorer with a terrain management system, and the Bronco Sport with GOAT modes. Rain, shine, snowmageddon. Bring it on. Ford SUVs were built for weather. Come into your local Ford stores for special lease and financing options on the weather-ready Bronco Sport. View more at buyfordnow.com.
At Yield Street, investment opportunities that have traditionally been reserved for only the ultra-wealthy are now available to you. With a single investment, the Yield Street Prism Fund gives you access to a portfolio of alternative asset classes. With expected 8% distributions paid quarterly, the Yield Street Prism Fund can help you realize your financial goals. Start as low as $1K and take your portfolio to the next level.
There's something in the air, out of the silence. It all starts now. It all starts now. It all starts now.
Every day, nearly 2 million customers across New Jersey rely on PSE&G to provide natural gas. And every day, PSE&G is committed to doing it safely. That includes making sure you know what to do if you smell gas. A natural gas leak smells like rotten eggs. If you suspect a gas leak, leave your home immediately. Get far away, then call 911. Remember, smell, leave, call. Protect the ones you love. Learn more at pseg.com/gas safety.
Take a walk on the wild side.
She told me to walk this way. She told me to. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Walk this way. Walk this way. Like this. Come on, boo.
Prepare to feel good in 2022. Join Planet Fitness now for zero enrollment, $10 a month, extended to January 14th. Enjoy tons of equipment in our clean clubs for zero enrollment.
Zero enrollment?
And $10 a month.
That makes me so happy.
You know what else will make you happy? Blowing off steam in our judgment-free zone.
It's all about the endorphins, baby. What's up?
It's this place, I tell you.
Amen, baby.
Feel Fit-tacular in 2022 for zero enrollment, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 14th.
At the University of New Hampshire, reaching the top tier of research institutions means going deep. To the bottom of the sea, where we're leading the world in ocean mapping. To deep space, in partnership with NASA on more than 100 missions. Our researchers dig deep to understand our past and to protect our Earth and all its citizens. We're the University of New Hampshire, the state's flagship research university.
Today's scoring drive of the game is brought to you by Investors Bank. Get the official New York Giants checking account only from Investors Bank. Visit investorsbank.com/Giants for more details. For the scoring drive, we go to the third quarter. 14 plays, 69 yards, took 7 minutes and 17 seconds off the clock as Darius Slayton gets a 22-yard touchdown reception from Jake Fromm's first NFL touchdown in his career. That's your scoring drive of the game, presented by Investors Bank. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live. The Giants finished the season at 4-13 after a home loss to Washington. Logan Ryan was asked if he thought that that's how things would end up this season. Let's send it down to the podium.
No, I don't think anyone thought that. Definitely was not the expectation. Didn't go our way for not getting it done for a lot of reasons. It didn't go our way. Obviously, in my career, I haven't been in this position before. I've spoke on that, and that's a good thing. But I'm learning the other side of it now. I'm learning the other side of the spectrum and try to get some meaning in between. You know, I've been in Super Bowls years ago. Who cares? And then now, playing a game out of playoff contention. It's different, and I think at least it gives me perspective on both sides of it, and I think a lot to learn from the season.
Logan, I don't think you have much experience with this, but does this feel like a team where a coaching change could be made? Does this feel unsettling or unsettled to you right now, the situation of what's happening next here?
I mean, the one thing I know about the league is there's always changes. Like, you know, there's always changes. It's inevitable in this league that the roster's going to change. I mean, that was the last game we played together with those players, with my teammates collectively. So I'm not going to speak on anything that I don't know about. I don't know anything. I don't think anyone can predict that. But I know that there will be change because there's always change on roster and guys like that. So it's always tough. Some guys played their last game in the NFL today. That's always tough. Nothing's guaranteed in this league. So just grateful for the opportunity to take the field with these guys, and didn't get the reward at all this year. But some guys, and most of the guys, put in a lot of work this year, and just unfortunately didn't go our way. But that's just how it goes sometimes.
That sound from Logan Ryan was brought to you by Ford as we take a look at Logan's numbers in today's game against Washington. 5 tackles, 2 assists, 1 sack, and 2 quarterback hits. His 12th game this season with 7 or more tackles. You know, the defense has put in quite a bit of effort, but what do you make from what Logan has done this season, not just today?
Well, you know what? They have a standard. He's been a major contributor. He's been showing leadership. And it's not just him. It's that entire defensive backfield, because they've had a revolving door. And credit to their defensive backfield coach, Jerome Henderson. He's gotten guys ready. And I'm looking at film, and it's a who's who, and they're playing their defense. It's not like he's simplifying it for another guy to come in. So, and I think Logan Ryan has been a big part of that, and making sure that these guys can stay ready and prepared for what they want to run on a week-to-week basis.
Well, and he does take a lot of pride in his first year in his career as a captain. As we take a look at his season stats right here, this is the first time in his career, in his 9-year career, that he's been named team captain, and he's really leaned into that role.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a story. I sat with Darnay Holmes yesterday, and he said, you know, the biggest help, Friday, he said the biggest help for me to transition from college to pro was Logan Ryan teaching me how to watch film. He says, I just didn't know. In college, I just took the guy and followed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great signing for the New York Giants. You can make a case that Logan Ryan was this team's MVP defensively, again, for the second year in a row. When Jabril Peppers went down, when Blake Martinez went down, really it was Logan Ryan that basically took on the leadership role and from defensively. And to your point, Carl, about having veterans defensively teach young players how to succeed. It's how to watch film. It's how to practice. It's how to break down your own game film and scout yourself and say, all right, what do I need to improve on? What's not working? So no doubt Logan Ryan, his value, it goes beyond just the football field, the stats that you just showed. His production has been there. You know, it's still, I think it's still a little bit of a head scratcher as the fact that Logan Ryan was a free agent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He led the Tennessee Titans in sacks and tackles that year too. He was their defensive MVP, and yet he was still available. So for Logan Ryan, this complex scheme, I think Patrick Graham felt confident that he could still continue to run this exotic type defense because he had a guy like Logan Ryan. And certainly he has helped out with Xavier McKinney, who we have seen grow by leaps and bounds in year 2. So definitely the secondary of his defense is a strength of this team.
Yeah, we saw McKinney almost with that interception today, kind of was forced out with the ground and called an incomplete pass. But Carl, to your point too about learning how to watch film, learning how to be a pro, I think, you know, some of these people forget that it's more than just what happens on the field. It's the practice, it's the preparation, and it's not just turning on a game and watching it, but it's knowing how to watch it. How can you concisely describe to fans how different that is than just kind of watching a game?
Well, if you're watching a game and you've gone through a season like this, look at the areas of the team that you see improved, and they'll tell you where the most work is being done and where the most work is needed in the areas that are not improving.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for a defensive back, there's 2 parts to that game. Look, they're looking at the passing game, so it's route recognition. All right, based on receivers' alignments, all right, if they're lined up inside the numbers, here are the routes that they're going to run when they're there. If they're outside the numbers, closer to the sideline, here's where they typically run those routes. So those are things that you can learn from veterans and say, okay, now I know how to categorize that. And then it's formations too. Look, if they're in a 3-by-1 set over here, all right, here's what these 3 wide receivers are doing, and here's how coverage-wise we're vulnerable. So it's a lot of what are they doing, what are we doing, and then when we know that they know what we're doing, now what do we do so that they don't know?
And they know that you know that they know that you know, and all of it runs right around. But no, it's a great point. All right, we've got a lot more to come here on the show. We're going to continue to break this one down and review the Giants 2021 season. Stay with us here as Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, continues after this short break. We'll be right back.
This one's for every sports fan who just spent the entire game explaining to someone the entire game. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Pike's Peak. Named after General Zebulon Pike, who never actually made it to the top. Of course, he didn't own a sedan from our turbo-infused sport-tuned GT lineup. Well, Zebulon, this one's for you.
It's a persistence that never fades. It's a restlessness to care for others, to do more, to set the example by being it, to question assumptions, uncover doubt, and erase any hesitation to act. The question isn't what you want to be, it's who. That's why we choose Fordham.
This one's for every NFL fan whose fan cave is more like a fan corner of a guest room closet. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
It was such a big thing to go and play for London. This building, growing up, my dream was always to play here, play for my country. We won 2 championships here, both in overtime. I remember we scoring the goal and throwing my gloves and helmet, and everybody went nuts in here.
What does the future of strength look like? It's a personal trainer that assesses your strength and adds weight as you progress. It's dynamic weight that adjusts for you in real time for a more efficient workout. Come on! And it's a roster of coaches that motivates you to get stronger, faster. The future is strength you can feel and results you can see. And you can only experience it on Tonal.
Today's matchup between the Giants and Washington football team is presented by Dell Technologies, the official cloud infrastructure provider of the New York Football Giants. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live as we recap the Giants season finale, 22-7 loss to the Washington football team. As the season comes to an end, Lorenzo Carter will be a free agent in this offseason. He was asked if he thinks this is his final game he's played for the Giants. Let's send it down to the podium.
Yeah, that's a possibility, seeing as it's my last game under contract. But I mean, I've really just been thinking about the chances I've had with my teammates, getting a chance to go out there one last time with this team, with my guys, and just compete and just fight.
What has been different for you these last 4 weeks? Do you think you've had the best stretch of your career, at least if you look at the stats? Like, what do you think's been different for you?
It's just been, I'm grown into my game, just grown into it, being comfortable, being healthy, and just the coaches, we all working together, coming up with a game plan that works.
Lorenzo, there hasn't been a lot of winning around here lately. Do you want to come back, or would you like to see what else is out there?
Yeah, man, I love it here. I love it in New York. I love this organization. I've been blessed to be a part of a great organization like the Giants, and I mean, I love to come back. My Coach Judge, he got something going. I like what he's doing with it, and I'll just let the rest of that shake itself out.
That sound from Lorenzo Carter was brought to you by Ford as we take a look at his stats today against Washington. 6 tackles. He had a sack, 4th straight game with a sack. Not a lot of players have done that in their career. Carl Banks, you're one of them, though. What do you make of what Lorenzo Carter's been putting on the field, especially to close out the season?
Well, I think, he has shown that he can play the game. We've waited a very long time. He's dealt with injuries, and then the Achilles is probably what slowed him down. But these last 5 weeks actually, have shown that he's a guy that they should consider in free agency, because like last year, they got the top free agent defensive tackle, and it was Leonard Williams. So they're sitting on the top. I don't know if he's the top free agent outside linebacker, but he fits their system. And finding another linebacker that could fit their system could be a challenge, considering they still got to get another inside linebacker to play alongside of Blake.
And as you mentioned, that is a tough injury to come back from, that Achilles. But he's done that, and he's built up. As we take a look at his season stats from the year right here, looking at what he's been able to do and what he's been able to build towards, Shaun, what have you seen? How have you seen the arc and the trajectory from Lorenzo?
Well, the trajectory is up, and I think these are the type of players that you want to keep as a franchise, because now, look, you mentioned the injury. The Achilles injury definitely stunts growth of a young player. But when you see Lorenzo Carter right now playing some of his best football, that's when you want to lock a guy in. You want to bring a guy back, because now he's in his prime. The game seems to have slowed down for Lorenzo Carter. You can tell with, look, when you get 4 sacks in a row, that's production, and you're doing a much better job of not just getting to the quarterback, but understanding game situations. And I think for Lorenzo, look, it's not about sack production. He's not just a third down pass rushing specialist. He plays the run game really well. I think there's still some things that he can work on. He needs to continue to work on the gap integrity. But when it comes to being a defensive player at the point of attack, Lorenzo Carter has proven he can hold up. It doesn't matter if it's a tackle, it's a tight end. Can you handle double teams? He can do all of those things. So I think he fits exactly what the Giants want moving forward, and I think his best football is still ahead of him. So those are the kind of guys that you need to sign. For the Giants, this has been the struggle for this roster. Look at the Giants' draft picks over the last 10 years and how many of those players have been signed to second contracts.
Right.
This is where you build your team. You need a middle class if you're going to be a good roster. You can't just have all these young first round or young drafted players and then high-priced free agents from other teams. You need that middle class. This is how you build your roster.
And that's part of that rebuild right there as well. And hey, you know what? One thing else about Lorenzo Carter, he is such a treat to be around. This man walks out onto the practice field with the biggest smile on his face every day. You know he loves to play the game of football. All right, we got a lot more coming up on this show. We got a few more players to hear from and much more as Giants Postgame Live presented by Mercedes-Benz continues after this.
Peerless design, cutting-edge tech, and a world-class interior. The exhilarating Mercedes-Benz GLC. Extraordinary runs in the family.
You probably think Visa is a credit card company, huh? But it's actually a network, connecting just about everyone to just about everyone else. It can open eyes with a cup of coffee and change minds about what makes a business a business. And it is working to connect everyone, everywhere. So, meet Visa, a network working for everyone.
I'll tell you, I loved every minute of my time playing for the New York Giants. It was a huge part of my life. These days, I still carry my team spirit with me every time I use my Giants debit card from Investors Bank.
Open a New York Giants checking account from Investors Bank with free cell phone and ID theft protection. Plus, you can earn up to $250.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. And now, I'm a fan too.
Open a Giants checking account online today.
Monica McNutt, Kazim Famiwide.
Let's get into the show.
That is Tom Thibodeau defense.
Quick as about his shot. John Wallace is coming through, y'all.
What's going on, Steve? One and only, Jerry Ferraro.
This is good MSG film.
Thank you for staying up for us.
Want to win some cash? It's easy, fun, and free. And you can make some serious bank. Make picks, win big with the MSG Pick'em app. Download today.
What can you expect from ButcherBox? 100% grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, and so much more. From farmers who believe in raising animals with care, with no antibiotics or added hormones, ever. All with free shipping right to your door. Together, we can make a difference. One meal at a time. Sign up today and get 7+ pounds of meat free.
Giants fans, this is it. It's your last week to win some Giants merch in the Postgame Live Watch and Win sweepstakes. You have a chance to win a signed football by our birthday guy, linebacker Blake Martinez. To to win. Just scan the QR code on the screen or go directly to msgnetworks.com and use this week's keyword tackle when you sign up. Good luck and a very happy birthday to Blake Martinez. January 9th, great birthday. As we welcome you back to Giants Postgame Live here at MetLife Stadium, the Giants wrapped up their first 17-game season, Week 18 here. One of the biggest questions I think Giants fans have, though, is what's going to happen at the quarterback position. Daniel Jones, we saw, some of what he can do, but of course finished the season on IR. What are your perceptions of what you've seen from Daniel Jones as we take a look at his season stats?
Well, I think the biggest question for Daniel Jones is how does the neck heal? Anytime you're talking about an injury revolving around the spine, that's always adds more questions. And I think probably the most disappointing part of all this right now is here at this point in his career, we still have so many questions. There has been so much change around him. The offense has changed. The offensive line has been in constant flux. And I don't know that we've gotten a proper supporting cast around Daniel Jones to properly really evaluate him and say, here's exactly what he is. But there are things that he does well. I love his mental fortitude. I love the way that he attacks the game and the way that mentally he's locked in. Physically, look, he can do things that other quarterbacks can't. And look at the offense, how different it was when Mike Glennon stepped in. He can get you out of trouble, and he can get himself out of trouble with his legs. I think the one thing that gets lost on because of the turnovers and everything that has happened throughout Daniel Jones' career, I think it gets lost is his deep ball accuracy. The kid can sling the rock. And I think, in this stadium, this is not an easy play. This is not a quarterback-friendly stadium with the wind, with the conditions. You need a quarterback that can handle that. I think Daniel Jones can do just that. But we need some growth. And I think for him, Daniel Jones coming back, it's going to be a new offense. So we have seen...
Which will be a good thing, by the way.
Should be a good thing. But, again, new offenses take time to really start clicking. And the tough thing for Daniel Jones is, given the track record, he's not going to have a really big leash.
Listen, he's got a whole offseason to learn it. I mean, we've played it. We know when coaches change, when systems change, they throw you the playbook, and you start to dig in. The challenge now is the OTAs.
Right. Is it virtual? Is it in person?
Yeah, if it's going to be in person, then he'll really hit the ground running. If it's virtual, it'll be like, okay, in theory, this is what it is until I get to the 1 or 2 day mini camp, and then I come back for training camp. So hopefully they can spend enough time with a coordinator and with a new system to really get him ready to go.
Right. And, of course, priority being his health as well. And, we've seen he's missed 10 games.
I'm going to assume he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes down to getting a right system, something that utilizes not just him, but all the other weapons around him, because, again, this offense for the last 2 years, even with the change, has been at the bottom categorically in the NFL. In offensive, it's like every category they're at the very bottom.
Red zone has to be at the top of the list, right? I mean, we talk about big plays, and that was the whole point of the offseason, was to bring some explosive players, the John Rosses and the Galladays and the Rudolphs. And it was to produce some points in the red zone, so that's going to be a key area for them to focus on.
Yeah, and got to keep everyone healthy and on the field. All right, we've got more to come here. After the break, we're going to hear from Giants running back Saquon Barkley. That and much more as Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, continues after this. Stay with us.
Sometimes the most thrilling experiences come from Mother Nature herself. And that's what Ford SUVs were built for. Like the Escape with available intelligent all-wheel drive, the Explorer with a terrain management system, and the Bronco Sport with GOAT modes. Rain, shine, snowmageddon. Bring it on. Ford SUVs were built for weather. Come into your local Ford stores for special lease and financing options on the weather-ready Bronco Sport. View more at buyfordnow.com.
One thing we know for sure is things are always changing. So there are still reasons you may need COVID-19 testing. And Quest has options for the whole family, available at no cost to you. Simply schedule a test online for a nearby location and get your test results back as soon as the next day. Millions of people like you have trusted Quest for their COVID-19 testing. So schedule your test today at questcovid19.com. That's questcovid19.com.
According to New York state law, it's forbidden to make small talk on an elevator. But here's something that is legal: sports betting. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook has officially arrived in the Empire State. And we're giving every New Yorker an exclusive offer when they sign up. So skip the chit-chat and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Claim your exclusive offer when you sign up and make it rain.
You need a B-Bot to have a social life these days?
Yeah, Dad.
Every kid has the perfect friend. But Barney has Ron.
Your B-Bot is super weird.
Come back! Where are you going?
You said come back.
No.
Friend request? Friend request.
I'm going to be late. My pants are on backwards.
James, now your enemy's my enemy. How did that happen? Well, you live long enough. You a 00?
2 years, so stay in your lane.
What is it?
You don't know what this is?
Oh my God. Who is he?
No Time to Die. Rated PG-13.
Obviously, the season didn't go the way that we wanted, but, you know, I just want to give credit to a lot of those guys in the locker room, especially the guys that had to step up and play a different role that was probably not expected in the beginning of the year. And those guys in the locker room came to work every single day, worked their tails off, and, you know, obviously the results wasn't what we wanted to be, but really proud of those guys in the locker room.
Well, what has to change that you don't walk off the field at the end of next season with the same feelings of disappointment?
You know, I really don't believe on speaking off emotions. I like to sit down, digest, and think about it before I just go out there and answer. So I think I can answer that question better in a week or two for you.
How would you feel if a coaching change was made? How would you feel if a coaching change was made?
That's above me. I don't make those decisions. I spoke in the past how I feel about Judge. I think a lot of guys came out in the team and spoke how they feel about Judge, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Saquon, what message did it send when you, to the offense, when on 3rd and 9 from the 4, you're running a quarterback sneak?
As an offense, you got to just go up there and execute the plays that's called, and we just went out there and tried to do our job.
Did it bother you guys as, you know, one of the guys who could make a play there that they didn't even trust you guys to try something?
No, like I said, as offense, our job is to go out there, execute the plays, and that's the play that was called. You know, we don't make those decisions. There's a reason why that play was called, so we just try to execute.
That sound from Saquon Barkley is brought to you by Ford as we take a look at his stats from the season. 13 games played, of course, coming back from that ACL injury. Missed a few with that sprained ankle, but worked his way back. Going into his 5th year next year, what do you need to see from Saquon? What do you want to see from Saquon? Obviously, guys, very passionate about this game.
Yeah. So what I need to see from Saquon is a more consistent offensive line. And then we'll know what we need to see from Saquon. I mean, there's enough to go around from a bad offense to him recovering and then having an ankle injury and then an inconsistent offensive line. It's just so hard to say, well, Saquon doesn't have it anymore. Well, we know he's been injured. We knew he was coming back, so there was going to be a ramp up. Mm-hmm. But then just the inconsistency of the offense, and then he loses his quarterback, and these are all things that have to be factored in.
Yeah, and statistically, when you look at that 3.7 yards per carry, I put that on the offensive line, absolutely, Carl. We always used to pride ourselves as an O-line. We will give you the first 4 yards. Everything after that is on you. I think the one thing that everybody was hoping to see more of from Saquon this year was the explosive plays. We didn't see him bursting away from defenders, the arm tackles that we're used to seeing him explode through. Too many times we saw him get tackled by the ankles or almost broke that big play. The old Saquon would have broke those plays, and that long run of his wouldn't have been 41 yards. It would have been 81 yards. And I think that's what we want to see. Now, that will come with an extra year of rehabbing the knee, getting stronger, getting faster. I would expect to see an even lighter Saquon Barkley next year. I think sometimes, you know, when you're coming back from an injury, you're so worried about strength. that you forget about the speed and the acceleration. But to your point, Carl, the one thing that was so frustrating to see offensively was how many times Saquon Barkley had to dodge a defender in the hole.
Yeah.
He just got, how many times you see him getting the handoff, and as he's getting the handoff, he's looking, I got to spin away from this guy that's about to hit me. You can't have a productive offense and a productive rushing offense if your running back is dodging unblocked defenders.
Got to shore up that offensive line right there. It's been a priority for a while. We got one more segment on the show as we finish the season finale of Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Giants. We'll be right back.
This one's for every NFL fan whose fan cave is more like a fan corner of a guest room closet. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Pike's Peak. Named after General Zebulon Pike, who never actually made it to the top. Of course, he didn't own a sedan from our turbo-infused sport-tuned GT lineup. Well, Zebulon, this one's for you.
I'll tell you, I loved every minute of my time playing for the New York Giants. It was a huge part of my life. These days, I still carry my team spirit with me every time I use my Giants debit card from Investors Bank.
Open a New York Giants checking account from Investors Bank with free cell phone and ID theft protection. Plus, you can earn up to $250.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. And now, I'm a fan too.
Open a Giants checking account online today.
This one's for every sports fan who just spent the entire game explaining to someone the entire game. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Guys, Nuts.com delivered more fresh snacks to the Johnsons.
Delicious cashews, trail mix, dried fruits, sesame sticks.
Okay, here's the plan. We leap from the oak tree, shimmy down the electric wires, over the angry bulldog, parachute into the rose bushes, run past the lawnmower, vault into the kitchen, and remember to avoid that cat.
Why don't we just order from Nuts.com?
But where's the danger in that?
Nuts.com. Irresistibly fresh, dangerously delicious. Free shipping with your first order.
Let's go! Trends. 5816. Tips. Are you seeing this? Guess that know a guy who knows a guy. You gotta be fired up.
The NBA is back. Let's make some money.
Welcome into the better half hour. My favorite time to dance. All right.
Gordon behind the backs. Deflected. Burks ahead to Quickly. Quickly step back. Three-pointer. Puts it in. Emmanuel Quickly from downtown. And the Knicks scored by 4.
Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show presented by Dunkin'. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel and catch the latest episodes and all of Eli's extras. The Eli Manning Show presented by Dunkin'. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live. The season finale as the Giants' 17-game season comes to a close with a 4-13 record. Obviously disappointing considering where this team thought they were going into this year. Quickly, what's the point of emphasis this offseason? What is the number one priority, Carl?
Better personnel and better play calling on the offensive side of the ball.
Simply and succinctly.
Production on the offensive side of the ball, and it has to start up front. When you look at this division, look, the Giants won one game in their division. You want to make the playoffs? Fine. You got to win your division first. When you look at Dallas, when you look at Philadelphia, when you look at Washington, they all have good defensive linemen. They have guys that can get after the quarterback. You have to protect your quarterback. You have to run the football. Look at what Philadelphia has done during the second half of this last season. They committed to the run game. They did it behind a stout offensive line. Dallas has perennial Pro Bowlers every single year. That's what you have to fix up front before anything else.
Right, and the offensive line has been a point of emphasis for a while. Building that is tough to do. You've been a part of a successful offensive line. You've been a part of a team with a successful offensive line. Is that just something that takes time?
You can't go to the grocery store and just throw a meal together. It does take time. It takes chemistry. It takes confidence. But you have to be physical. You need guys that want to.
It takes time and talent.
Yes.
And talent. And
you can't do it without talent.
Can't do it without talent. It's hard to do that. You know what? It's another process.
Can't do it. Can't win with it.
Can't win with it. Can't win without it. You know what? The Giants season comes to a close. Our season comes to a close. Giants finished with a loss at home to the Washington football team, a 4-13 record. But we are so grateful for all of you taking the time to watch this show every week. Thanks so much for watching this week Giants Postgame Live presented by Mercedes-Benz. Thanks so much to our entire production crew.
Peerless design, cutting-edge tech, and a world-class interior. The exhilarating Mercedes-Benz GLC. Extraordinary runs in the family.